Hi there, my name is Andy Black, and this is my Getting to Know You video, which I'm happy to submit as requested in our assignment. I'm a second year PhD student in the School of Theater, and my area of interest, I'm a playwright and I teach playwriting. And my area of interest is actually the teaching of playwriting, which is what I believe I'm going to do, the subject upon which I will do my dissertation. So I thought what I would do is talk a little bit about my experience as a playwright. Let's see here. I'm going to go back and talk about my first play, which I wrote in 2001. I was born in 1956. And when I was growing up, I'm gay. And when I was growing up, depictions of people in relationships with members of their own gender were not allowed in the media. And in fact, I found a little quote here. In the 1950s, television programming was regulated by a document called the Code of Practices for Television Broadcasters, and the code actually prohibited any positive portrayals of homosexuality. But in fact, there were no portrayals of homosexuality at all, positive or negative. So it was as if in a certain way we didn't exist. So I grew up not getting to hear stories that I could connect with emotionally and psychologically because I knew I was attracted to men, but all of the characters in the media who were attracted to men were women. Of course, I wasn't a woman. But all the men that I saw were attracted to women. Of course, I wasn't attracted to women. So when I finally decided to write a play, I had this idea that I would take the stories that had meant a lot to me when I was growing up and reimagine them with same-sex couples and tell the stories that way. And there's a comedy, a play, it's a romantic comedy called Born Yesterday, which I enjoyed a lot. And it's interesting because a lot of romantic comedies are about people getting married. And in 2001, when I wrote my first play, the idea that a same-sex couple was going to get married was really not something that we considered as a reality. And then and also a lot of romantic comedies about opposite-sex couples involve children and having children. And of course, same-sex couples can have children in a variety of different ways, but it wasn't a common practice, and it wasn't actually something I was all that interested in. So the comedy Born Yesterday, which was a comedy that I was interested in, didn't really involve two people getting married, and it didn't really involve two people having children, but it was a romantic comedy about a man and a woman. And I liked it, and so I thought, well, I could go ahead and use that story. And it's about a gangster who's involved with his girlfriend, who's kind of a classic 1950s dumb blonde. And he has decided that he's going to go legitimate. He's going to run for public office. And his girlfriend, who he actually likes, he wants her to be acceptable in the circles that he wants to move into, and she's not really ready for prime time. So he hires a journalist. This all takes place in Washington, D.C., and he hires a journalist. The journalist is smart, and he's supposed to tutor the girlfriend so that she will become smart and presentable and learn etiquette and stuff like that. So what happens is, as the girlfriend gets smart, she starts to realize what a schnook her boyfriend is, and she actually starts to fall in love with the reporter instead, which then presents a whole new set of problems. So in this is called Born Yesterday. It's a Pygmalion story inspired by a classic myth. So I talked to a friend of mine who was also a writer, and I said, I want to write a play, and I want to write a play with you. Would you be interested in writing a play with me? And she was. And I pitched the idea that we could take the story of Born Yesterday, and we could tell it about a same-sex couple. And in our version, which has been very successfully staged and produced, I'm happy to say, the protagonist is a gay male porno star. And he's in a relationship with a much older guy who produces all of his porno movies. And the star, whose name is Rex is starting to get a little restless. And he wants to, he's thinking that maybe he'd like to be an actor on stage. And the producer, the older producer, is concerned that if he doesn't let his little boyfriend pursue this goal, that he's going to lose him. So the producer donates a lot of money to a legitimate theater, and in return they cast the boyfriend, the young boyfriend, in a part that he's completely unsuited for. And they bring in an acting coach from a local Catholic university to coach the young star so that when he gets on stage he'll be able to do a creditable job and isn't going to embarrass himself. And the way the coach works is with a principle called sense memory, which involves getting in touch with your feelings in order to demonstrate them on stage. And the young star has never really considered the idea of feelings before, and as the coach works with him, he starts to be able to identify his feelings. And of course, what he realizes is that he's falling in love with the acting coach. So that kind of introduces the second act problem. So that was the first play that I wrote with a collaborator. Her name is Patricia Milton. And in 2001, we wrote the play. In 2002, we were the finalists in a national playwriting contest. And then in 2003, our play was produced for the first time at a festival in San Diego, which was a real thrill. And that little play has been produced all across the country. It's been produced in New York. It was a wonderful experience writing that play. And in a certain way, I was probably about 45 years old when I wrote that play. My whole life has turned around since then. And I ended up going back to graduate school and getting an MFA in playwriting. I started teaching playwriting. I started falling in love with the idea of teaching playwriting. And then I decided that I wanted to pursue the idea of getting a PhD so that I could, if I was going to teach it, I wanted to be able to kind of teach it the right way. So this summer I wrote a one-man show based on my own personal experiences. And one of the reasons that I have signed up for this class is because I'm actually interested. I'm challenging myself to move beyond just writing the plays, but also performing them as well. So in this class, I'm looking forward to working with Professor Sampson and seeing what I can do to develop my talent and skill as a performer so that I can take the text I wrote this summer and perform it myself. So that's a little bit about who I am and how I came to be in this class. It may be more than you want to know about me, but there you have it. And I look forward to working with you, whoever you are, dear listener, and getting to know you as well. Thanks so much.